call to order the special meeting of the Monee Village Board of Trustees. If you'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez. Gray.
Here.
Holston. Here. Warren.
Here.
Pop.
Here.
And Racy.
Brother.
Open to the public. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Come to the podium and give your name and address. Please remember this is a special meeting, and so it needs to be on topic with the items on the agenda. And the 2 items on the agenda for tonight, for this early meeting, have to do with the proposed crime-free housing ordinance and the proposed nuisance ordinance.
Larry Schrei, 5123 Fairgrounds Court. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the trustees. They have won the election, and I'm sure that you guys will operate to nothing but better our community in the next 4 years. Getting back to the property maintenance ordinances, I just got a couple, first of all, a question for the sponsor of this ordinance, Mr. Holston. I gotta find out something. Have you ever been a long-term landlord anywhere you live?
I have been a landlord for 5 years.
Okay, so you do know, outside of family?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you do know some of the consequences that follows. That's what I wanted to find out. Just so this board is not misled on facts too, information was given last meeting about crime rates in Aurora, saying there was no murders last year or possibly this year. Indeed, in 2014, Aurora had the highest murder rate since 2007 with 7 murders. As of the last meeting, before the meeting took place, there was already 2 murders in Aurora for the first quarter. So I don't want to see the board misled by misinformation or looking favorable on an ordinance that sometimes doesn't work. I did give you a packet here of some information, and I would hope that everybody takes the time out to read this because it's pretty important on a couple aspects. The possible legalities of this ordinance and lawsuits. A woman had filed a lawsuit in Pennsylvania against this exact ordinance. She was awarded almost $500,000. The municipality had to pay it out. And the municipality repealed the ordinance 3 days later. And you go into a couple of reports on the ACLU that I have provided to you, and you can see a couple of different other instances where this is getting challenged more and more.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is this the package?
Yes, yes it is.
We just got it.
Okay, that's why I said take time to read it when you can. There has been several other lawsuits that have been successfully won and at $100,000 apiece. They're finding out that this is in violation of the First, Fifth, and 15th Amendment rights. So many of our young men and women are trying to protect, including 3 of my sons who are in active military duty. I sit back and I look at the proposed ordinances and all its flaws, and it really does have a lot of flaws for a town that basically only has literally 4,200 people in this town. We have over 200 vacant homes, and you put an average 3 people in each home, there's 600 less right there. On top of well over 125 homes for sale. In this state alone, we have approximately 1,300 municipalities, towns, and villages. There's only 100 that have enacted this. Many are revisiting because of this legality and lawsuits. The other question too I have is what is going on with Gulf Vista as far as this proposed ordinance is going? It's an interest to me because my mother lives there and she's a renter. And I need to find out what questions and how this is going to affect them. The other,
You are aware that Gulf Vista is not supposed to have renters?
they're not supposed to, what are they?
They're not supposed to have renters, they're all supposed to be landowners.
They're not landowners, they're renting the land. They pay rental.
So you mean renter, you mean because she's paying a monthly payment. She owns
Exactly.
She owns her home.
She owns a home, but she rents the
Okay, I
land.
apologize.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
All right,
exactly.
sorry.
Also, too, I provided in the packet here,
Hey, Larry?
yes,
If I could just for a second.
Sure.
I just reminded something. And I want you to be heard
Sure.
in your entirety if at all possible. I know as the mayor, I'm also the chairman of this meeting, but I'm going to, for the sake of the fact that Trustee Holston has worked so diligently on putting this together for the purpose of this situation here, I just want to clarify, it's okay for you guys to carry on a dialogue and everybody else to kind of participate. I'm going to let you chair this.
I'll be happy to be quiet.
No.
You limit it to 3 minutes.
No, what I'm asking you to do is go ahead and share this portion of the dialogue, because I think it's important, because you've got the most information on it, and because of your insight into that. So I don't know if I'm correctly, I'm relinquishing the chair to you for the moment of dialogue with the public, if that's okay.
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 Let's rock and roll there.
If you also look, I have provided a report on the Shriver report. It's an article that pertains only to this crime-free addendum. And it's a 25-page article, and you'll be amazed on the liabilities villages do hold. Also in this packet, as we speak, and our state legislator right here, there's a bill, 1547, that is sponsored by 36 senators right now to stop exactly a lot of things that this ordinance is doing. And it's in legislative right now. Again, that was 1547. Right now in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, this is how this is aggressing. There's a class action lawsuit of 150 landlords against the municipality, and it's pending in court against the crime-free ordinances because of the constitutional rights that are being violated. And I did get a chance to look over the proposed revised ordinance, and I had a couple questions on it. Number one, on the ordinance number, it says whereas. And if you come down after line item number 5, it says whereas these rules and regulations will apply to all real property, whether from a zoning or usage or standpoint. Okay, so this means all real property in this municipality. That means this applies to everybody. But yet, we as minority landlords are going to be forced to sign this when it states it applies to everybody. That right there is discrimination. You go to the duly adopted property maintenance code of this town. It's already on the books.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes?
since the mayor has relinquished to me, I'd like to make a suggestion to you.
Sure.
You've taken 15 minutes, we have a 3-minute limit. You have done a lot of good work, you presented us with a lot of information, there's no way that we can go through this tonight. I'm more than willing to ask the board to table this to a future meeting so that we can arrange for a meeting for us to get together, go through this in more detail together. I'll be happy to work with the board, whether they want to join this or whatever the village attorney can recommend, but we're not going to get this done in the next 15 minutes. We have a regular board meeting starting at 6:30. I'd like to go through this. I'd like to have more detail with you, but you present us with a lot of information at the last minute. There's no way we can do it in 15 minutes.
Sure, okay,
And it deserves, I appreciate the work that you've spent.
right.
Obviously, a lot of it is ACLU, which is known for their objections to this type of an ordinance. But it's still worth discussing. You brought up some good points that we ought to discuss. But those discussions can be held, first of all, in a small committee level with you, just like we met with the Gulf Vista folks. I'll be happy to meet with you. Maybe one other trustee wants to meet with me to do that. And if you have somebody else that's interested in sitting down with us, I'll be happy to do that. And after the meeting, we can sit down and reach an agreeable time, if that's okay with you.
That's fine with me, but I still would like to make a couple more points. We have just a couple more minutes here.
Can we stick with 2 minutes? We've got one other.
Yeah, this is gonna take only, I just need to go over a couple
I'm
more
more
points.
willing to bring this up again. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to shut you off, but you
Right.
obviously have spent a lot of time. We need to spend some time talking.
Exactly, that's why I said when you have time to take a look at this and read this, at your time.
Okay.
Getting back to the property maintenance code, this is already on the books, this is already existing, and it applies to the whole town, not just a few. And then we go back to refusal or revocation of license and registration. Number 6, on page 6. You're asking the landlords to do everything to abide in this town by rules and regulations, and if we don't, then we lose our license. What's gonna happen? That tenant's gonna get kicked off, we're gonna lose our rent every month. In court, it could take up to 6 months with extensions up to a year, so I'm gonna lose all that money. I can't get my license renewed, and if I don't abide by this, the last sentence in this item says, guess what? The Village of Monee says abide by our rules, but hey, tenant removal should be the responsibility of the building owner. So basically, abide by our rules, we'll see you later, deal with it. You lost your license, you lost your revenue. There's a lot of aspects that are wrong, especially in a small town like this. One more thing. My buildings are inspected by the fire department every year. They're inspected by village code enforcer, and if applicable, health department. The cheese guy, this is how good I maintain my buildings. Health department inspection, 100%. That's a rare thing to do.
And again, let's make sure we clarify this. Nobody is saying that you do anything wrong on this at all. This is for the whole community, not just you.
Exactly. I do understand that.
If you'll either stay around or I will, I have contact information. I'll get a hold of you. We'll arrange for a meeting where we can sit down and go through this in more detail.
That's fine.
Okay, thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, based upon the great amount of paperwork that he's put together here and the opportunity for us to sit down and review it, I'll be happy to ask for this ordinance to be tabled for the moment. I would ask the village attorney, however, to review the current language and advise us from a legal point of view. You've heard that raised several times, of what issues he would have with this document.
Let me answer to that. I believe Attorney Yurcheski and I had actually met and reviewed almost line by line the recommendations here. And I believe, and Mr. Schrei, I could be mistaken in this, and we'll have counsel review this, but I believe if you read the gist of most of the proposed, not passed legislation in Springfield, that Senator Harris, Senator Hutchinson, those that are all advocates for a lot of these things, what they're indicating is a stipulation that says a renter cannot be evicted because they called 911 because they're the victim. And that's the gist of what they're saying here. So if they're the victim of a
That's my understanding.
or stalking or anything like that, they shouldn't be penalized for that. And if you turn to page 8 because I remember reviewing this, I believe it's on page 8, you'll see a large paragraph in the middle. It specifically states, and I'll read it just so the public knows where we're at, because this is a 15-page document. An individual tenant will not be in violation of this lease or subject to eviction for contract or contacting the police or for seeking other public services as a crime victim or concerned person. An individual tenant will not be in violation of this lease or subject to eviction for reporting acts of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. An individual tenant is encouraged to report those crimes without fear of his or her status as a tenant.
Right.
So that, if you then turn to, the packet that Mr. Schrei provided you all, I'm not sure what page it's on, but you'll see at the top it says bill status of SB 1547. And again, this is a proposed, the last action was taken on March 24th. Hasn't even had a second read as they are fond second and third reads that they do in Springfield on a lot of things. And I'll just, for the public's understanding of this, the synopsis of it is as follows. It amends the Illinois Municipal Code, creates a new section prohibiting all units of local government from enacting or enforcing ordinances or regulations that penalize tenants who contact police or other emergency services if, number one, the contact was made with the intent to prevent the perpetration or escalation of domestic violence, sexual violence, criminal activity, or any other emergency situation. Number two, the contact was made with the intent to respond to domestic violence, sexual violence, criminal activity, or other emergency situation. Number three, the intervention or emergency assistance was needed to respond to perpetration or escalation of domestic violence, sexual violence, criminal activity, or other emergency situation. Number four, the contact was concerning an individual with a disability. Now, admittedly, that's one thing I don't believe we addressed in that paragraph. Nor did we stipulate the situation of an emergency, like for fire, paramedics, or whatever else. So, Larry, I think at the very least, no matter what else happens, we do need to address that. Let me proceed here. It was section, it was part 4, I believe. Is that where I left off? Three? 4, the contact was concerning, okay, individuals, requires any ordinances inconsistent with the section to be repealed or modified, provides that a landlord or tenant may bring a civil suit seeking to invalidate the ordinance, compensatory, I got it, damages, attorney fees, court costs, and other equitable relief, provides that the new section is a denial and a limitation of home rule powers and functions, provides that this section does not limit enforcement of provisions of the Emergency Telephone System Act, Criminal Code of 2012, and the Forcible Entry and Detainer article of the Code of Civil Procedure, or does not limit or prohibit any unit of local government from enacting or enforcing an ordinance that does not penalize landlords or tenants on the basis of contact made to police or emergency services that may be effective immediately if it were passed. But I believe the gist of the lawsuits as presented, and again, we're not voting on this tonight. I think we addressed at the last meeting that this is going to be here for a hearing with no intention of actually voting tonight, but perhaps at the next meeting there might be a vote. I would ask each of you to make sure you thoroughly review all the information provided by Mr. Schrei, and make sure that there's no inconsistencies there. There's many other areas in there that I think needs to be reviewed. The cost, and when I talk about the cost of an ordinance like this, I think that while it has its merit, there's a cost to the landlord, which trickles down on the tenant. There's also a cost to administrating of this. And so we have to weigh everything on that and identify what are the pros, the cons, and everything else. But that's something you all can do. But I think the gist of what the concern is pertaining to the lawsuits in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, there's another state. But, and even Illinois is now passing, or looking to pass legislation that will reaffirm that. But there is a very broad paragraph, very bold paragraph, I should say, on page 8 that addresses that in what Mr. Olson has drafted. So, I know there's kind of a robust response, but
I will second trustee
Holston?
Holston's motion.
Do you have a motion? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay,
Had motion to table.
thank you. And I believe we also have a discussion of a proposed nuisance ordinance. And I apologize, I thought this had been put in everybody's packet specifically, and I don't know that it was. So, I know council provided, and I think it might have gotten, so we're not gonna vote on that tonight, obviously, if you have time, you can read it.
Mayor,
Sir,
so that we did get something, a noise control ordinance.
that was another, yeah, that was noise, not nuisance, and that was, there's two of them.
Okay.
So,
So we're not gonna discuss this noise one.
you can discuss it, but it's, that's, well, actually, that, we can't even discuss that now, because it wasn't actually part of this special committee, what do you call it, agenda. But, to the best of my knowledge regarding that, there's, the attorney is, from the things that were drafted, we requested that the items be brought in their entirety, so we have a full, well-rounded, approach to dealing with some of the issues that have been of concern to our community. Mr. Gruchewski found an additional recommendation that he felt would be well presented. So there's actually 3 instead of 2 ordinances that would have been tied to that. So, again, because you just received this, I think we're just gonna simply have to table this. And we can address all 3 of these at another meeting. Perhaps at the next regular meeting, unless we want to have another early meeting before that, like we did this time, it's fine with me. Your call. So we want to make a motion one way or the other?
I'll make a motion. Table?
I'm just,
I'll second it.
We have a
oh, hold on, I'm sorry, clerk.
motion in a second.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry. Roll call on the first motion.
Yes, roll call to table the,
Crime-free?
yes. Trustee Holston,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Raisik,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
and Gray.
Yes.
We've already had discussion. Does somebody want to make a motion to table until subsequent meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Till the, what's right?
I'll make that motion. Table.
Okay.
The noise control one?
It's actually on the agenda as nuisance, but we'll incorporate all 3. Okay. Raisik and Gray. Do we want to stipulate when we want to have that? Do we want to do it at the next meeting? Do we want to have a half hour early again, just so we can address any ongoing until we're ready to actually move forward to a potential vote on the actual items? Is that it?
Mr. Mayor, the next meeting is scheduled for the 28th, I believe, isn't it?
22nd.
22nd? Okay, never mind.
Is that okay? Okay. Just to clarify, so that, we'll have that at 6 o'clock on that meeting, a special meeting again for that? Okay, all right, roll call please.
There may be a problem with that. I committed to Larry to get with him between now and then. I have a vacation scheduled.
Okay,
I won't be able to do that between now and then.
we can postpone this until the
Need to
first
put it
meeting in May.
We need to put off, please.
It's not a problem. Is that all right with everybody? Okay, so we've got a motion to table, we'll address the timing of it later. Okay,
I apologize.
roll call please.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Raisik,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Holston.
Yes.
Mr. Schrei, if you would, Michelle, can we make sure that we get a copy of the other two ordinances also and get them uploaded and made available, a couple copies here, so the public, they can have access to read these as well. Thank you.
I'd like to have the, somebody from the village administration sit in on that when we meet, please.
It'll be fun. Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting. About 6:29.
We can be next.
Great. Roll call.
Trustee Pop,
Yes.
Raisik,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Holston.
Yes.
Moore. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We will have a 30-second intermission.
That's okay. Yes, the other one.
I want to make sure I wasn't in trouble. So I'm not sure it's working. So this is up, this is